What's good, people? Hey, and welcome to a new channel, people. And just an intro about what I'm trying to do with this channel. I want to pick out a handful of interesting points that I have noticed during the last week in the world of sport. And I want to discuss them, debate them in turn, and just to get my impressions of how I view those quotes, those incidents, those activities, and hopefully engage in a little bit of conversation with you people around those areas. So the first one, people, I want to highlight is a quote. And it is from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now, Ronnie O'Sullivan is a 7-time world snooker champion. And this is the equal most number of world titles of any male snooker player. And he's just won his first round match in the recent tournament being televised on the BBC in the UK. And he's a very controversial person. Controversial, maybe it's not the word I'll go with. He's a very charismatic person, Ronnie O'Sullivan. And he's a little bit quirky. And he does things in ways that others perceive as different, in the sense that he's outrageously talented and he's renowned for being one of the most gifted sports people ever in the UK context anyway, in terms of how easy he makes snooker look. He is the ultimate stylist and he just seems so seamless when he's going about his breaks in snooker. So snooker, people, is the sport you play similar to billiards. You have the cues and the balls, and you're trying to pot as many as you can to accumulate as many points as possible, basically. But anyway, Ronnie O'Sullivan, very colourful personality, does things a bit differently. He's often painted as a rebel by the powers that be, the authorities. And O'Sullivan often takes this kind of tongue-in-cheek sort of approach where he almost is the antithesis of this stringent, powerful system, where he takes this laissez-faire, devil-may-care approach where nothing seems to ruffle him, and he often cuts a very loose and individual personality. So he doesn't like to conform. Non-conformist is the word I would use. But I love him. I absolutely love Ronnie O'Sullivan, guys. And I'm going to read a quote that he made after his recent first round match that he just won. So he said, "If I got beat 10-0 in the final, I would be like, lovely, shall we have a drink afterwards? It's where we should all be. We take sport too seriously. Someone has got to win. Someone has got to lose. Just have fun." Now, I absolutely love this, people, from O'Sullivan. He's basically saying that he doesn't care about the result. He's just going to go out there and have fun. Win, lose. If he loses 10-0, no issue. He's just going to go out there and have fun, express himself. And I absolutely love that from O'Sullivan, people. It is a very refreshing mindset. And I know O'Sullivan, because I've read both his autobiographies, he's written 2 autobiographies, and in both of those he talks quite openly about his struggles with internal matters, let's say. And he often has put himself under so much pressure in the past. He's often put so much stress on himself. And just to hear him come out and say he now throws that all out the window and just has this really carefree approach, whatever will be, I just think it's absolutely wonderful to hear. And I think with this mindset, this guy, there's nothing he can't still achieve in snooker. He's 46, and I think onwards and upwards for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Absolutely love him. Okay, people, moving on to the second noteworthy point I want to bring to the table. It relates to a quote from Matthew Mott, the England one-day international / 2020 cricket coach. And it's in response to the fact that England, who have just won the T20 World Cup, big up to the England cricket team, now have to play a series of matches 3 days after winning the World Cup. So very little turnaround, very little recovery, and they're now thrust straight back into the action, basically. And Moeen Ali, England off-spinning all-rounder, said that the schedule's horrible. Now, Moeen Ali was part of this World Cup winning team because basically the team just want to relax, celebrate the win, get away from cricket for a bit. Instead, they can't. They have to play these matches. So Matthew Mott, the head coach, has come out and said, it's very simple. It's nothing too profound. But he said something like, we've got to enjoy this victory. They don't come around very often. We get through these 3 games. He's talking about these upcoming matches against Australia. Then there's a long break. So that'll be the time to properly let the hair down and enjoy it. But the schedule is the schedule, and we've got to move with it. So I really, really like that quote from Mott, people. The reason I like it is because he's being very grounded and very human. He's saying, look, we really want to celebrate, we will celebrate, but however, we do have to just zone in for these next 3 matches, honour the schedule, respect the schedule, and then we'll be back home celebrating with family members and the UK. And I just feel that's the perfect message. Because you want to honour these next 3 matches in Australia. You don't want to disregard them or just flippantly turn up and not go through your due diligence and your preparation. But at the same time, he's saying, look, we are human. We do feel like it's not ideal. We want to be home. But at the end of the day, we're going to play the matches because we need to respect the schedule. Perfect response from Matthew Mott for me. Really, really like it. Okay, people. The third point I want to discuss, moving on to soccer, it's Ivan Toney. Now, Ivan Toney is Brentford's striker. So Brentford play in the Premier League EPL, English Premier League Soccer. And he was one of those players who was in contention to make the World Cup squad that was just recently announced by Gareth Southgate for England for the upcoming World Cup in Qatar, which starts in a week or so. And Toney didn't make the cut. He didn't make the team. Now, there's a little bit of pretext to this as well, in the sense that Ivan Toney was called up for the last England squad for the Nations League matches back in September, his debut squad, but didn't get any minutes. So there were 2 matches that were played. I think one was against Germany, one was against Italy. And Toney didn't get a match. And it would have been his first international cap for England. It would have been his debut. He didn't get anything. And then he's now been left out of the World Cup squad. So it's been a little bit of a bitter pill for the guy to take. And I don't feel like Gareth Southgate has handled this situation very fairly for Ivan Toney. I don't really think it's a just situation that we've seen for Toney. And anyway, so Toney misses out on the World Cup squad. Must have been a massive disappointment for him. And then he goes in at the weekend and scores 2 goals, including the winning goal against Manchester City for Brentford to win 2-1. And I just think to myself, what a response. You've just been omitted from the England squad. The dream for any footballer to go to a World Cup. And you come out in the very next game and you score 2 goals against the team many people believe are the best team in Europe, the current Premier League champions. And I just think, what a fantastic response, and all power to you. And the fact, bonus from an Arsenal perspective, the fact that it helps Arsenal, because Manchester City are Arsenal's biggest rival at the moment for the Premier League title, is a bonus for Arsenal fans. So well done, Ivan Toney. The fourth and final point I want to talk about, people, on this episode is Arsenal. So my sporting passion, my sporting love, the wonderful Arsenal Football Club, we currently sit 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League going into the international break. And can we win the Premier League? That's the last question I want to talk about. In my opinion, 100%. At this point, shackles are off, guys. To be brutally honest, I've thought it from the beginning of the season, Arsenal are going to win the league. And if you'd seen from my videos at the beginning, I was sort of saying it without directly saying it. And I put it in a couple of my WhatsApp groups with my friends back home in the UK. I said, guys, Arsenal are going to win the league this year. I just had a great feeling. Pre-season was fantastic. I saw progress last year with Mikel Arteta and the boys, and the progress, the team spirit, the new signings that were brought in, the game, the strategy and the style of play that I was starting to see come together. Okay, we slightly missed out on top 4. And I want to just address that very quickly. This rhetoric that Arsenal bottled it, for me, is an absolute baloney. It's absolute nonsense. Arsenal didn't bottle anything last year. Let's set this straight. They ran out of steam. Two different things. If you physically don't quite have the capacities or the energy or the fitness or the experience to last the course in any sporting event, how is that related to bottling it? If you're a marathon runner and you want to, let's say, I was thinking of this analogy the other day, if you're targeting a bronze medal in the Olympic marathon and you're on target for that result after, let's say, 35k, and you still got 7k to run, if in the last 7k you slightly fall off the pace, that's not because you've bottled it. It's because your preparation wasn't quite there to meet the goal you maybe had. And also maybe you weren't quite equipped to last the course of the marathon. It was the same with last season with Arsenal. The last 4 or 5 games, they ran out of energy. It's nothing to do with the mentality, for me. For me, that's all about physical preparation. And the young side just running out of steam. Anyway, that's last season. But this season, people, can Arsenal win the league? 1000%. As I just said, last year we saw there was a positive signs of progress. Mikel Arteta growing into his role as manager, leaders starting to spring up, Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel in defence, Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, you name it. There's a massive collection of leaders growing at Arsenal. This season, you add the quality of Gabriel Jesus, William Saliba and Alexander Zinchenko. All of a sudden, the project goes bang, and Arsenal are flying and firing on all cylinders. They've got a 5-point lead. They're playing unbelievable football. And long may it continue, people. I do believe Arsenal is set fair for the league. I really do. And I'm buzzing. I'm so excited. But obviously the World Cup's coming up before that, people. So really a great time for us to sort of have a rest from the domestic Premier League action and focus on this International World Cup. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I cannot wait to enjoy the World Cup. It's going to be an incredible occasion. Okay, people. Love to hear your thoughts on everything I've spoken about. I've spoken about Ronnie O'Sullivan. I've spoken about Matthew Mott, the England cricket coach. I've spoken about Ivan Toney, and I've spoken about my beloved Arsenal Football Club. Any comments on this, guys, please do add to the discussion. Love, guys, and enjoy the week.